Well, last week on the Saturday show, we talked about how Elvis may still possibly be alive somewhere in Argentina because he was running from the mob. He was running from some sort of gang. Some sort of entity was after him. And
Corn
so
Pop.
it could have been Corn Pop. It could have been anybody. And we speculated that he was hanging out down in South America, probably with Hitler and the leftover remnants of the Third Reich, which would probably be the Fourth Reich at that point. They're probably up to the Ninth Reich by now, but they don't really advertise it. But we also briefly talked about Michael Jackson. I brought up the theory that Michael Jackson didn't really die, that he still could be alive. And I promised people that I would look into this and report back. And that's exactly what I did. So here, let's move over there. Let's talk about Michael Jackson a little bit. Yes. I know, people. We could be talking about the coming civil war, the state of the economy. We could talk about Russia, Ukraine. Yeah, we could talk about all that stuff.
No, none of that matters. All that matters is Michael Jackson.
Exactly. All that matters right now.
Squeeze that one out.
It takes a long time. I got that clip.
What's the date on that one? Yeah,
I got that clip in 2009.
It sounds like it too. You've been playing this segment for 13 years.
I got that clip in 2009, and I really didn't have too many opportunities to play it. Besides now, I mean, it was a bit of a long burn. But
well, yeah, fair play to you for the long con on that one.
I knew at some point in time I'd be talking about Michael Jackson or doing a segment on him. So
that's great.
Bring this up on screen. So the rumor is that Michael Jackson possibly faked his own death or transferred his consciousness into an android or a clone. A lot of controversy surrounded Michael Jackson in his early life up to adulthood, even in death now, and what he did with all that money and what actually he believed. And so I'll bring this first story up on screen. And this comes from the Sun UK. Now, there are other articles, not just the Sun, talking about Michael Jackson's interest in prolonging his life. Now, I'm sure everyone wants to live as long as possible. Michael Jackson had some different ideas on how to do it. This headline here: "You are not a clone." Michael Jackson's planned to be cloned and frozen in cryogenic chamber before death, and was excited about having thousands of little jackos running around. Whoa. Well, Jacko attended a conference on cloning and cryogenics hosted by the ReAlien religion, a bizarre sect that believes human life was created by aliens before his death. Now,
how do you spell ReAlien?
The ReAliens are ReAlien, or ReAlien, like ReAlien.
Oh.
Like ReAlien.
Well, Google says, do I mean Real Madrid? No, I don't mean that, you fuckers.
So the ReAliens, they teach that extraterrestrials, known as the Elohim, Elohim, created humanity using their advanced technology. So it's not that far off with a lot of ancient alien theology and what they talk about. Like, our life here was seeded by a much more advanced race of extraterrestrials. Now, I don't know a lot about the ReAliens or the Elohim, but Michael Jackson apparently was pretty interested in this group of people, which I believed are based out of France. So I'll go on with this. So Michael Jackson planned to clone himself and have his body frozen for eternity in a cryogenic chamber before his death, Sun Online can reveal. Jacko even attended a conference on human cloning and cryogenics in 2002, hosted by the ReAliens, a bizarre religious sect which believes humans were created by aliens. The King of Pop's former chauffeur, Al Bowman, revealed how he picked up Jackson and a bunch of his doctors and friends, including spoon bender Uri Geller, in a Hummer and took the group to a 3-day convention. He said Jackson came out of the event excited about the possibility of being cloned and having thousands of little Michael Jacksons running around. He bounced out of the conference. I heard him telling everyone in the back of the limo how he wanted to be cloned and frozen after his death. Al, who is now 60, recalled. Now, this article was written a few years ago, so Al is probably up there a little bit. Quote, he didn't care how much it cost. He wanted to be reanimated to live forever. I remember he was so excited that there could be thousands of little Michael Jacksons running around. He was smiling and laughing. No. I mean, how weird would it be if Michael Jackson cloned himself and then I'm not going to even go there. I'm not going to even say what I'm thinking. It's so ridiculous what I'm thinking. I mean, you know what he was accused of.
I kind of think I know what you're thinking.
I mean,
is it a crime if it's your clone, though?
Exactly.
No, I think you could diddle yourself all you want.
You can't do that because a clone is, if it's a legitimate clone, it's a sentient, it's its own thing. It's basically you made a twin of yourself, right? I guess I don't know the difference between a twin, like an identical twin, and a clone. To me, they're like the same thing. But
I mean, would you give yourself a knobber? Even if you were the same age, it doesn't, like, say you were like the same age as you are now.
I have to do it.
Bored.
Would I give myself a knobber? Because
I don't know that I would.
Well,
I think it'd be
gay?
weird. I think it'd be super weird.
It would be beyond weird. Yeah,
I don't like. So part of the reason why I like the brown dudes is because they, white people look too much like me, and it's weird.
Because you might get confused and find it yourself.
I can see that. I can see that.
So I want to know if Michael Jackson was in the back of the limo. He says, I want to be cryogenically frozen. And they're like, no, Michael, we got to go back to Neverland. Bubbles.
He lunged for the steering wheel.
He lunged for the steering wheel.
Maybe Trump took his cues from Jacko. But Jacko was known to be a supporter of the ReAlien movement, which believes human souls die when the body dies. They believe that the key to eternal life is cloning, recreating individuals from their own genetic makeup. The sect has a scientific arm called Clonaid.
That's delicious. I like strawberry Clonaid the best.
Which promotes wacky research into human cloning. Why is it wacky research?
It's wacky, Mike.
They're doing it. They're doing this stuff right now. They're just making fun of like the ReAliens doing this. Like I don't know. They might have a vast scientific staff that we just don't know about. Al, who drove Michael Jackson around, and an array of other stars over the years, including Whitney Houston, Prince, and Motley Crue. Vince Neil connection right there. Said the group he drove wasn't Jacko's usual pals. Corda had driven Michael Jackson several times over the years, but this time I actually got the job through a friend who told me that Jackson was planning to go to this ReAlien cloning event and didn't want to fly because it was a large group. Okay, this is just mostly a story about the taxi driver and not, and not necessarily the ReAliens.
I believe it's Raëlism.
Raëlism, ReAliens.
Yeah, well, it's not spelled like alien though. So
there's two different words associated to this. There's the ReAliens, and there's the ReAliens. There's two different things.
It's AEL, not ALE.
There's one. I'm looking at a version on the screen here by it's RAL.
Well, they spelled it wrong.
I'm just telling you what I see.
It's named after the dude in France. So anyway, go ahead.
It was hosted by the ReAliens, and it was mainly French, German, and Belgian scientists who were there. I remember a female French doctor who was leading the whole thing, and then they had panels and scientific displays. It was pretty mind-blowing. Looking back, those doctors and scientists who were with him were probably trying to get Michael to invest all his invest money in their research. It was probably all about money for them. But he was already fascinated with the stuff. He was always into freakish, weird stuff the whole time I knew him. Lots of people in Hollywood were. Okay, that's an interesting thing for the chauffeur to say. Al now believes Jacko's body may be frozen at the Alcor Life Extension Foundation facility in Scottsdale, Arizona, which freezes human corpses with the hopes of one day reanimating them and restoring them to full health. There are people who think that he is one of these people in Scottsdale in the below zero nitrogen metal tubes they have in the cryogenics facility there. So, I mean, this just kind of goes on. So we read a story a few years ago where there was a cryogenic facility and you could sign up and they would take your body and keep it on ice. Well, it turns out that they weren't very careful with a lot of people's bodies, and that they often use their body. They piled boxes on top of your body because they were kind of low in storage, or the part of the bodies were defrosted, and so they didn't really do a lot of good upkeep on these cryogenically frozen humans. You would hope that Michael Jackson had the money to pay for some top-notch stuff.
Were they renting the bodies out for parties too?
They were doing weird stuff. I forget. I think that story was out of the UK, but hopefully the Scottsdale one has a lot more.
Do you remember we had a story about 2 years ago about the two competing cryogenic facilities in Russia, and the people breaking into the other one and taking bodies out to take it to theirs?
Oh, I forgot about that one. There's always a lot of weird stuff. So the ReAlien movement was founded in 1973 by Claude Vorilham, or Rael, as he's known, who claims he was contacted by an alien. He says that the extraterrestrial creature emerged from a flying saucer and told him that humans were created in laboratories by a race of humanoid aliens called the Elohim. About 25,000 years ago. The Elohim had pale green skin, long dark hair,
green skin,
and were about a meter tall, according to ReAlien.
Green skin.
Rael also co-founded the Clonade that business in the 90s in a bid to promote research into cloning. They even claimed to have cloned the first baby back in 2002. I thought cloning humans was illegal in Europe and the United States.
This is a clone-free zone. People will never do it, Mike.
Well, I mean, on the books, there's like laws that you can't do this. I know China doesn't give a darn about that stuff, but I thought at least the United States and Europe are kind of in an agreement. We're not going to be cloning humans.
We're not going to talk about it anyway.
Yeah. Well, that I'll bring up this one more story. So this is actually from the ReAliens themselves. Let me bring this up. And they say Michael Jackson, a ReAlien honorary guide, has probably been cloned by now. So this is on their official site. They have their own, not just their own UFO cult. They actually have a website. So that's nice. Like fans worldwide, ReAliens have mourned the death of Michael Jackson, who died, who in 1992 was one of the first individuals to be named a ReAlien honorary guide for his actions promoting world peace. Rael, the spiritual leader of the ReAlien movement, has expressed condolences to the Jackson family, who he met last December in Las Vegas. The occasion was a special event celebrating the 35th anniversary of the creation of the ReAlien movement. Quote, considering all the good things Michael did on Earth for peace and love, I'm sure he's alive today on the Elohim eternal life planet, he said in a statement released today. His comments reference the important tenets of the ReAlien philosophy, which claims that all life forms on Earth were created by the Elohim, highly advanced human scientists from other planets who were mistaken for gods by our ancestors, who have the capacity to recreate individuals complete with their full identity thanks to their advanced cloning technology. In addition, Rael's statement implies that Michael Jackson is among the few humans from Earth to be cloned and will return to Earth with the Elohim when humanity has finally decided to welcome them back. So it's up to you people. Michael Jackson's out there on that planet out there waiting for you to welcome him back.
Fuckers.
Aliens did this.
By the way, Mike, just in general for a future topic, if you dig into this to Rael, the guy behind ReAliism, interesting cat, and probably right in line with stuff we've been talking about here. So,
I've heard of the movement. I've seen a few things on this. I think Jacques Vallée has visited these people. Very interesting. I haven't done a deep dive into
something to look into. The guy, he's all over the place on YouTube. He does a lot of videos himself, so there's a lot of material you can pull from. So, anyway, just interesting idea there.
Yeah. So that's basically the Michael Jackson was clone segment. I mean, even Live Science covered this. Like, this was a fairly big story. I'm surprised I didn't cover it back in the day. Maybe I did. I just forgot about it. But Live Science covered this. Could Michael Jackson have been cloned? And this was written in July of 2009. And they go into it. They talk about the possibilities. I mean, yeah, he died in 2009. But they just talk about the what has been officially cloned so far. Cows, pigs, dogs, cats, stuff like that.
Jackson. They just throw it in there. Dogs, sheep, Michael Jackson, cats, dogs. Wait, well, what? Go back 3. Dogs?
But Michael Jackson was, according to some, in addition to cloning, he was just trying to find a way to prolong his consciousness. Like, whether it was in a clone or not, he wanted to have this consciousness transferred to something, whether it was an android or a living, breathing clone. That's what he wanted, and he desired it, and he thought he had the money to achieve those goals. We don't know. We won't know until we welcome back these ReAliens and with open arms, asking them to save us from ourselves.
Give us an email at ourbigdumbmouth@gmail.com. Check out obdmpod.com for all the social media and donation links. Be a part of the magic.